Greetings my fellow students who are also ignored during class. My name is Flare Blitz and we have returned back to Iwaihime. Really annoying with the controls of this game because you wouldn't be able to immediately tell that you have to press H in order to see the controls and then be able to press S in order to go to the save. And also the fact that you have to press escape to quit. So it's like, how do we even go about these places and how do we do what we need to do unless we knew that we needed to press H to see the controls guide? So why can't there be something down here which shows us to be like save and stuff like that? This is rather sudden, but my name is Yuto Akigawa. Not that you have to remember it, everyone only calls me by my nickname. What sort of nickname is that? Fatigawa? Damn. Is that self-roast? If you asked the rest of the class about me, they'd say I was everyone's favourite laughingstock, the village idiot of sorts, the kind of person everyone makes fun of. You see those on variety shows all the time, right? Where the comedians get put through bizarre punishments and everyone laughs at them. So it's the same as some kind of paranormal horror visual novel adventure of sorts, except there's no comedians, there's just sinister spirits. Well, that was me. I was always the butt of such jokes. That day was no different. A comedian got stripped down to just his underwear and had embarrassing things written all over him with felt markers. The people on TV all had a good laugh. The viewers probably did the same. But I never laughed. I just felt sympathy for a comedian seeing them like that. No, not sympathy. Fear. Because I knew that would be me tomorrow. Is your fate somewhat destined then? Hey, fatty girl, let's play word chain. We're friends, right? So come on, let's play. I don't want to play this game. When lunch break came around, a bunch of crass guys who would always force me to play with them. I was by no means popular, and though they called it playing, I was the only one getting played with. Then I'll start. I'll go with the effing fatty. Flame. Okay, now it's time for E. Come on, fatty. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Fatty loses. They were just looking for an excuse to put me through humiliating punishments for losing. It would go on until I lost, and recently they've been coming up with unfair reasons to knock me out right off the bat. Why? They're not friends. If I didn't play along, if I showed any displeasure, they get really violent. Aren't they doing that anyways? So all I could do was force a smile to take it. Better to be their plaything than their punching bag. I say neither is better. Just unleash your inner anime anger. Yes, this was better. Hey, fatty, grip, come on, hurry up. See what I mean? I'd already resigned myself to this last night, so I was calm about it. They all tugged at my clothes, trying to force them off. It'd be a pain if I fall back only to lose a button, so I just gave an embarrassed smile and stripped myself. And once I was reduced to my briefs and shoes, they brought a marker out of nowhere. Gored it. But it was an oil-based one. Getting this off wouldn't be easy. Relax, it'll come off once you take a bath. Ew, you're covered in sweat, the marker's slipping. Gross. They wrote all sorts of nasty comments on my stomach, back, thighs, and even briefs. Please let me know in the comments what your favourite part of this episode is. And then they cackled just like the people on TV, because here no comedic music would play to soften the blow. Don't be bullied like that, my parents didn't care about me. Oh damn it. Not one of these again, where the protagonist's parents does not give a damn about their own child, so therefore whenever they talk about their day, they just honestly could not care less. Figures, given I was a wimp who'd been bullied his whole life. If they knew I was getting bullied, they just hit me and yell at me for being such a pushover. So I just put up with it, threw my underwear, and wash off all the writing above so they wouldn't find out. But this trend just kept going on, and the crude comments on my body would escalate day after day until the point of absurdity. Worse, it's nearly impossible to wash off writing from oil-based markers. Water just doesn't cut it. You need to take a nylon towel and rub your skin really hard. As a result of doing this every day, my skin got raw and painful. It stung whenever the hot water touched it. That pain would serve as a constant reminder of how my body had been reduced to a sketchbook for bullies. Never put up with bullies. But also, I think this is quite a common theme in Japan anyways. But still doesn't make it good. All of a sudden, the lights went out. It was pitch black. Oddly enough, my thoughts ground to a halt too, as if time had stopped in the darkness. No point in getting worked up about it. My parents would surely take care of it. If I made a scene, they'd scold me for being a wimp who couldn't take care of himself. Again. But just then, the shower stopped. It really did feel like time had stopped. What in the world was going on? All I could hear was the laboured breathing coming out of my nose. It scared me, like there was a terrifying demon just nearby. "Fear not, boy." I heard a spine-tingling voice from the depths of hell at my back. It came from within the bathroom, right behind me. The words lingered and echoed off the walls. "Poor creature, ridiculed day after day. I came here because I felt sorry for you. Can you help me? Tell me, what is it you want?" I don't want to go through this ever again. I couldn't stand the humiliation any longer. There's only so much more that a sponge can soak after all. Very well. But in exchange, I want you to grant my wish. What wish? I feed off man's misery. Is that associated to a gender of sorts? Offer on to me misery befitting of your wish. Worry not, a mere trifle it is. A mere trifle, you say? Also, doing that voice over and over is exhausting. Normally, I could never give that ominous presence what it desired. But not only had it been another day of getting covered in embarrassing scribbles, some girls saw me and laughed this time. That bitterness urged me on. An elementary schooler was humming as he walked down the road, clearly in high spirits. In days like these, when it feels like the only thing that gives you any kind of solace is either just walking home from school or just simply going to bed, one day you will not be in school, and therefore the experiences could be better. The street was desolate. No one else was watching. If I was going to do it, then this was my chance. I approached him from behind, aimed for the back of his head. "Oh, you trying to catch one of the bullies?" And thwack! I ran for the hills. Yes, surely there are no cameras nearby. The boy's cries chased me like a spectre, but I ignored them and dashed away. There, I did it. That boy was hit by a complete stranger out of nowhere. By bringing about that misery, I had given the theme what it wanted. Did it specify what kind of misery it wants to feed off of, though? I felt a little guilty, but that was outweighed by an overwhelming sense of triumph. I think in any case scenario, if you are so desperate for something, no matter how illogical or heinous it is, you will go after it. Because the desperation is palpable enough. And besides, it looked like that boy was coming back from school in a good mood. If he was that happy, it was only fair he shared some of it with me, so there was no need for me to feel bad, right? Of course it does, because you just hit someone. Happy now? I kept up my end of the bargain. I could hear the thing laughing in the distance. That night I waited in the bath for it to show up again, but it didn't. You obviously did not inflict enough pain. I kept washing my body and waited for the lights to go out again, but they didn't. My body's stunned. It was itchy. You need to wait until complete darkness, or a moonless night. Even after I went to bed and turned out the lights, my chest and my back kept aching. Well, what the hell happened to the moon? The next day I checked my stomach to find it swelling all reddish purple. Ooh. Ouch, that's not a good colour. Well, at least it's not blue. But if I told my parents and it came out like I'd be getting bullied, they'd scold me. It was okay, it'd go away if I just left it alone. Yes, of course. That sounds like the equivalent of faith healing. It kept throbbing during classes. I couldn't concentrate. And time's up. Come on, show us that belly. You do know how to bathe, don't you? You still had some left over on your back yesterday. I was in for yet another scribbling punishment during lunchtime, but this time, the aching in my chest and back was more painful. The swelling there was caffeine against my shirt. So having those guys take off my clothes and touch me would actually... No, it wouldn't. In fact, I just wanted to take my clothes off myself. It was itchy, 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 itchy. Itchy, 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 itch, 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 itch. Ah. Ooh, dearie me. This looks orangey. Pustural. And when I took off my shirt, the swelling finally stopped itching. My chest and back wreathed with pleasure, like worms after a rain. There were several purplish black swollen blobs pulsating on them, rejoicing in the fresh air. To me, they looked like one of those face assembly puzzles. Eyes, noses, mouths. Those scattered parts protruded from my chest, from the blobs, and trembled. A cloudy, stringy secretion similar to plethysma gushed out of them. The demon had certainly kept its promise. After all, the looks of horror on the bullies made it clear they wouldn't even think about touching me now. Good riddance! Pee off! I'd wish to never go through something like that again, and the thing granted it. Seeing the bullies fall comedically on their backsides in terror felt a bit liberating even. I was sure their days of bullying me were at an end. Oh, but all of a sudden, they kicked me to the ground. Ah, no, they thought of you as disgusting. They kicked the eyes, noses, and mouths of the blobs on my chest and back over and over again, crushing them into the paste. The blobs would gush with snot-like secretion with each kick, sticking like string to their shoes. As for me, well, I felt no pain from it. I felt on top of the world for giving them the fright of their lives. Eventually, they kicked me so much that my whole body was swollen purple and became a blob itself. And so they continued stomping me, crushing me flat as I continued spewing their gooey secretion. In the end, I was reduced to nothing more than a reddish black puddle, like blood mixed with mucus, and faded away. What the hell is the start of this episode, by the way? Thus, they would never bully me again. In fact, nobody would ever know me again. However, I wish I'd been more specific with my wish. Like, I wish everyone who bullies me dies, or something. But if I had, I don't think hitting a kid in the head would have been enough to satisfy that demon. However, I made another wish. Kill them all. The demon's wish in exchange for that was surprisingly cheap. All I had to do was offer it the life of but a single student, any student, but that was impossible. I no longer had a body. I couldn't kill someone, much less touch them. Okay, that seems really ominous. Hey, after hearing all this, you feel bad for me, right? Sympathize with poor old me and take my place? Sacrifice someone? Just one person is fine, okay? Come on. Please? No, the demon is just there laughing at you. Sacrifice someone for me? Come on, please, please. A giant lump of meat beyond any possible description, wreathed in the darkness. It had no arms, legs, or even a head, just a blob of flesh. Eyeballs, noses, and mouths poked out from all over it, spewing forth gooey plethora from time to time. It was creeping closer and closer and closer. Oh, it had eyes just then. Red eyes flashed in the darkness. What a surprise. Why the eyes? Oh, many eyes, and it wasn't just two of them. Who else could it be? And why the hell are there some eyes which only are non-plural? One eye. Oh, countless pairs of red eyes encircled the blob. Or are they the blob itself? Oh, dolls. Hello there, dolls. Oh gosh, you're all gleaming red. They're all blood-written. They were small Japanese dolls. Oh great. Are we going to see that toe girl again? T-O-E, with a funny E, that is. Endless numbers of the exact same doll clamoured about. The blob found itself surrounded on all sides. Being dolls, they were completely expressionless. However, they clattered as they clambered over to the blob, one after another. Excuse me, how do these dolls move? By this point, the blob was nothing more than a piece of candy tossed into a swarm of ants. He could no longer see anything past the oncoming incursion of dolls. It howled as it squirted out several strands of plasma like a water gun. The blob was clearly screaming in its death throes. But much like the piece of candy amidst the swarm of ants, the dolls showed the blob no mercy and devoured it whole. With howls and the occasional sound of spewing plasma, the blob faded into the darkness. Well, aren't you just fun? Fun, fun, fun! What if all of that is just trying to show backstory of the inner demons that inactimate this game itself? Probably inactimate is not the right word, but surround the game. The doll sitting at Toé's side appeared to shake for a moment. That doll gives me the goddamn creeps, for real. Oh, we're playing as Toé now. You sure treasure that thing, huh? Heh, I throw it right in the trash if I wasn't told to leave the damn thing alone. Oh dear. There was a wet sound, followed by the sweet scent of saliva. Toé's lips. Oh, this is probably what everyone was screaming about in the previous episode. About the fact that something occurred within the school, and it happened to be that boy. Toé's lips shone sensually as a thin sliver stream trailed from them. And once more, she put the boy's toes right in her moist mouth. I don't want to think about that. You know, you'd be a real Damn. I'm not reading that sentence out loud because that's just so heinous. I didn't say to stop. Keep going, you dumb Oh, the boy kicked Toé in the chest with his bare foot. What a get! But like a dog, she groveled before him and yet again. She started sucking. Oh my goodness sakes! The humiliation. The school's bike lot was empty except right before and after school, and so it become a gathering spot for delinquents. Thus, delinquent groups would often meet up here during lunch break and the like. About 10 of them were here at this moment. They would curse, spit, and tell each other all sorts of crude stories with deplorable smiles on their faces. A ways apart from them was their leader, Sho Kanimura, getting his toes sucked by Toé Kurokami. You got some real odd taste there, Sho. No kidding, but a better place you can... Oh gosh, you're disgusting. Relax, I know what I'm doing. I'm saving that for after we're married. Besides, wouldn't do no good if a teacher came by and I got it caught in my fly trying to hide it now, would it? Oh, I told you to watch your freaking teeth. It seemed Sho had gotten the area under his toenail stuck in Toe's teeth where he'd been convulsing with laughter. And of course, he suddenly roared angrily and kicked her away with his free left foot. Toe's slender body so he fell right over. Sho must have shown her no mercy. However, it seems she didn't even understand the cruelty inflicted upon her. For she grovelled before Sho's feet yet again and started trying to... Oh, goodness. Why are you even obediently going along with this lad? He's clearly a bloody arsehole. Her expression never changed even once. But Sho, fed up by this point, placed his foot on Toe's face and kicked her down again. Stop it! Oh, him. The hell? Violence is wrong, you know. The hell you say? Who are you? It's that punk Shishihara from 2A. The delinquents consider this place their stronghold, their sanctuary. They hated it when outsiders stepped on their turf. So they frowned, rose to their feet and glared at Suzumu. Kurokami, if you don't want to do this, you need to say so. If you're not in the position to speak for yourself, I'll tell the teachers for you. The hell? So you're a snitch? You got some serious balls on you there. Well, oh, you don't know what this kid is known for his martial arts. You got any idea what we're gonna do to you once you rat us out, huh? Just pump your tires and beat it, dumbass. Suzumu had brought a tire pump he'd borrowed from the superintendent's room. He'd come because his tires were low on air. Come to think of it, Kiko didn't tell me she wouldn't recommend doing it during lunch, did she? Now I see why she was implying this place was a den of delinquents. Suzumu was tense in his own right, but it didn't look that way. And that peed the delinquents off, yes, because I described bullies as rats, and the cheese in which they love is when you give them negative reactions. If you don't give them cheese, then they will look elsewhere for cheese, or they'll stop looking for cheese entirely. Look, buddy, you've got it all wrong. Toe ain't doing this cause I'm forcing her to or some stuff. Ain't that right, Toe? Toe staggered to her feet and stared blankly at Suzumu. She wrapped her arms around... I'm thinking there might be some Stockholm Syndrome here, or something similar. But her expression remained the same even then. This joke's my girl, you see. This seems both forced and warped. Doesn't seem like the kind of person you should be kicking then. I just got a little carried away, is all. Who the hell do you think you are? You don't know what's going on between us, so blank off. I can't imagine what could be going on between you that would make that okay. Hey, enough of the BS or your ass is dead. One of the delinquents stepped forward and grabbed Suzumu by the collar, but Suzumu simply grabbed the arm unfazed. The hell? Ah! Hey, you okay? He's strong as hell! It was at this point the delinquents noticed Shizumu's unassumingly rugged fists. The lack of fear he showed when faced with their numbers made it easy to imagine he was trained in martial arts. They glared furiously at Shizumu, but didn't try to grab him again. Just then the bell rang, signaling the end of lunch break. Shizumu for Class A, right? Don't think I'll forget you anytime soon. Until you apologize to Kurokami for what you did, I won't forget you either. The hell? You making fun of me? Want a blue dye right here, huh? He had imagined Suzumu would actually talk back. Surging with white-hot rage, Sho pulled a metal bat out of a nearby bike umbrella stand. What blank you doing? Suzumu finally looked surprised until he realized that shout had come from Kiko. Back Kiko, huh? This ain't your fight. Shizumu's one of mine. You want to get slaughtered, blank? You can't even fight fair. Why don't you grow pay, you you bloody cat? You goddamn blank. You're dead. I'm gonna goddamn oof you. Shh, don't do it. Calm down. What will the upperclassmen say if we cause a scene? Blank. You live this time, Shushihara, but don't think this is over. I won't. You can count on that. Sho left in a huff as the other delinquents tried to calm him down. Toé staggered on after them. Kurokami? But before Shizumu could ask if she was okay... Oh, Toé pushed him away. What? Quite warped. And for the first time, the two looked each other in the eye. Though Toé's face was blank, her eyes were brimming with emotion. With tears and rejection. Why? What do you mean, why? Late. Huh? Her tears streaked downward and fell to the ground. Toé pushed Shizumu away again and left. Shizumu watched her leave as he reflected on her passing words. Why? You're too late. If this is what she's always been to, then there's no wonder why the opposite side of emotion, as in some kind of positive affection, would be bad. She'd say that? You know. The great Shushihara strikes again. All those punks stared you down and you didn't even flinch. You really are the great man I took you for. And you're a real wimp, Asuta. You hid the whole time. If I were your girlfriend, I'd dump you on the spot. Well, I'm still trained. I'm not ready for a girlfriend just yet. Thanks, Kiko. You saved me. Just don't go picking fights with those idiots, okay? This is why I warned you not to go to the bike lot during lunch. I'm sorry. I thought you just meant it'd be a waste of my time. Well, actually both, actually. But anyway, you were really cool back there, Kiko. Yeah, those were some great fighting words, alright? Oh, so you don't know, do you, Shizahara? You see, back in middle school, Iwaihime... Okay, lunch is over. We need to hurry back for 5th period and study. What's wrong? Natsu, did you feel sick? Who knows? Maybe it's morning sickness. I'll give him a hand. So hurry on back to class, Shizumu. It appeared more like she was giving him a headlock than a hand. Maybe Shizumu doesn't need to know something that Kiko doesn't want him to know. Something along those lines. A memory that doesn't want to be recited. By the time class resumed, Kurokami was back in her seat, holding her doll and staring off into space like always. Why? You're too late. The way she was in class, I couldn't imagine her speaking her mind as clearly as that. I thought I knew what I heard, but I was starting to wonder if it was my mind playing tricks on me. Too late for helping her, or just too late in general through life? Kurokami. What does she mean by too late? I used to be so indifferent, but I found that I couldn't get my mind off her for some reason. Do not be obsessed with the paranormal. Too late? As in past the point of no return? Yes. But what? What didn't I make it in time for? Black snow started gently falling between us. No, not snow. Soot. Jet black soot piled up, burying me in Kurokami's world in darkness. What can you see? The final class of the day ended, and my classmates filed out of the room one after another, but instead I walked over to Kurokami. Listen, if there's anything I can help with, just let me know, okay? There's nothing. You're far. Too late? Kurokami said nothing. That silence was a clear affirmation that by too late she was indeed referring to me. I don't get it. What am I late for? Perhaps there's not much I can do. But if you're suffering, Maybe I can save you from that? Huh? Huh? Her eyes were glazed over. Nothing I said was getting to her. There's nothing more I could say to keep her there. It seems like the two of them are actually engaged, believe it or not. Who are you talking about? Engaged? You mean Kurokami and that other guy? Though Kaninuma only moved back here in 7th grade. I have no clue what she sees in that scumbag. Seems like he was famous back in middle school for having a fiancé at his age. How did it happen? Sho Karinuma had moved to Suzuda only 4 years ago. On the other hand, the Kurokamis were a family who'd owned a lot of land in this region for generations. What could the two families possibly have in common? In contrast to the wealthy and famous Kurokamis, the Kurinumas barely had a penny to their name, to say nothing of land. But by that autumn, Sho Kurinuma was already engaged to Toé. It's not every day you hear about people getting engaged that early. It was a hot topic in school back then. I'm sure he was positively thrilled at first, but I don't think it took him long to figure out just what kind of girl Kurokami is. Why did Karinuma accept the proposal? For a chance of more influence. From what I hear, Kurokami fell for him at first sight, which is rather odd. At first sight? They say the Kurokamis begged him to marry their daughter. Word is, a big sum of money was involved. Another possible reason. Or another possible motive. Seems that's how Kurinuma got so influential. To Kurinomi, she wasn't ordinary, that much was certain. It wasn't absurd to imagine her family going to great lengths to get her a husband. Still, though, that didn't explain why they'd chosen a boy like that, of all people. If they loved one another, then there'd be no issue. It seemed like a one-side relationship, if you can call it that. But it hadn't looked that way to Suzumu at all. At the very least, Kurinuma treated her more like a pet than anything else. And it hadn't felt like Toé had held any love for him either. Too late. Because Suzumu had been too late. She'd been forced to accept this fate. It almost looked as though she'd resigned herself to that outcome, and suppressing her emotions had sworn obedience to Karinuma as a result. Bye, see you tomorrow. Natsuya waved goodbye to his friends in front of a deli in the shopping district. The shop's name was Atsuto's Piping Hot Deli. His family ran the place. Suzumu and Kiko waved back as they left. Regardless of how warped you hear of somebody's story or somebody's life that they have been forced to accept, there's always going to be somebody out there that has an even more warped and even more disgusting tale to recite. Suzumu, you probably think I'm being stubborn, but I really don't think you should get involved with Kurokami. Why is that? I don't really know how to put it. I've just got a bad feeling about it. An instinct. Maybe you're right. She says it's too late at least. But she's looking for someone to save her, I'm sure of that, if nothing else. Suzumu? And I think you can tell that's dangerous ground to be treading. Suzumu. Kiko. I'll warn you again, okay? You shouldn't get involved with Kurokami. Something terrible will happen, I just know it. How? My sixth sense is always on point. Nobody has a sixth sense, for goodness sakes. It's just called a gut feeling. Thanks. I'll be careful to get treaded in the locks of the paranormal. You mean you'll tread carefully, don't you? Fine, forget it. Okay, Kiko stuck out her tongue and slammed the door to her apartment. Ah, dearie me. I walked into my own apartment, which now has stuff in it, thankfully, and closed the door. Entering my own space, isolating myself from the outside world, filled me with an odd sense of lethargy. Sure, it was a relief to be home, but I also had the strangest feeling that my door was like a portal to another world. Though it was warm enough to make me sweat a little out there, it was cool in my room. Almost like the place was too big for me alone. I don't know why, but I felt like I'd been here on my own for a long time. It must have been the sweat talking. I'll go take a shower. Yeah, a shower is good. Good for your hygiene and for the soul. When I was alone, I tended to talk to myself to ward off the stillness of it all. Perhaps it was a bad habit of mine. I hung my school uniform up and entered the bathroom with a fresh pair of underwear in hand. The bathroom was humid when I went in, almost as though someone had only just finished bathing there. I picked up the scent of bath water. Had someone used my bath? Someone's scent was lingering amidst the heat. As it dawned upon me that I didn't recognize who it was, I felt a twinge of unease. I slowly yet gently pushed open the door to the bath. And when I did, heat rushed out, along with a sickening body odor. Why this scene again? Oh, blotches. In the bath was meat. No, it was probably a person. Something shovingly and obese, bringing to mind a distended stomach bulging with fat and grease. Ugh, curly black body hair peeked out beneath its swollen black hair? Not Kurokami, is it? Filling me with disgust and revulsion. Blemishes and shaggy moles, crimson scars from scratching sweaty itches to that lad from before. Skin as hard as scabs outside the joints, brushed blood vessels that wiggled like worms, and an accrete stench like sweat and candle wax that spread with the heat and clung to my nostrils. What did I sign myself up to when playing this game? A blob of meat like an especially disgusting middle-aged man was sitting right there. Oh gosh, all of a sudden, it squelched and twisted. I couldn't tell what was in its front and what was its back, sorry. But it was clear it had noticed me and was turning to face me. Okay, yeah, blob. Its voice sounded like a man's voice, put through a filter to protect his identity, like you hear on the news. I was sure its words meant something, but I couldn't understand it at all. All I could make out was a spine-tingling laugh. Past the blob, I could see a bundle of black hair. Ah, it was a girl with long black hair and snow-white skin. No, a doll of the size of a human. Its joints clearly indicated that it was what they call a ball-jointed doll. Ah, the blob held that doll as it turned around. When I saw the doll's face, I couldn't help but gasp. Ah, for some odd reason, I thought that was going to be the case. It was indeed the God-forsaken one. It wasn't the face of a doll modelled after Kurokami. Everything from the head down was a doll, but the head itself wasn't. It was her face, her head. Bleep blah bleep 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 blah bleep bleep. One of Kurokami's joints screamed with a sickening crack. I couldn't tell what the blob was saying, but it was obvious it would turn its attention to Kurokami. I think for some odd reason Kurokami's family's influence could be somewhat absurd. The blob fiercely embraced the doll attached to Kurokami's head and greedily sucked on it. What a way to put things. The ball joints creaked with pain and moaned in the exact same rhythm. Kurokami broke out into a cold sweat and gritted her teeth. She was clearly in agony. This could be foreboding something with her own mental state. She feels like she's in this constant bind, and the only way she's trying to get the message across to our dear protagonist Suzumu is through visions and hallucinations. Yet oddly enough, my heart felt relief in the face of that repulsive terror. The disgusting relief that the blob wouldn't do anything to me while it was busy with Kurokami. Occasionally there would be a crack and one of the ball joints would bend in an anatomically impossible direction. Anatomically, sorry. Even Kurokami couldn't help but moan in agony. I couldn't even begin to imagine the harrowing pain she must have been in. I don't know how long Kurokami would hold the blob's interest, but eventually it would get bored, and when it did, I would be next. A part of me wants to fight to save Kurokami. However, the grotesque blob before me and my fear were both so overwhelming, I didn't know what I could do against that thing. But I couldn't just ignore Kurokami's suffering. If I couldn't work up the courage now, I never would. Leave Kurokami alone! All of a sudden, the blob stopped. And then it slowly but surely turned back to face me. Of course it would, the disgusting blob. Fear and regret seized me from head to toe. Blee blee blee. There really was a fine line between courage and reckless naivety, wasn't there? The ability to feel calm and safe when faced with such terror was truly a luxury. And lots more indecipherable jargon. The blob was surely laughing at me. It then stopped toying with Kurokami and tossed her in the hot water of the tub. Kurokami's body sank into the bath with a loud splash and vanished. What rose out of the water next wasn't Kurokami. It was a doll, one I recognized. The Japanese doll Kurokami always carried was floating there in the tub. Blah 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 blah. He was questioning something, but Blob didn't seem pleased by it. It groaned with discontent as it scooped up the doll and turned it around and around, studying it from every angle. That was probably my one and only chance. With Blob's attention off of me, this was my first and last opportunity to escape, but my legs wouldn't move. They crumpled beneath me, as well as a marionette. Of course, that blob was only playing with dolls, so even I was its doll too? Without even realizing that my body from the neck down had become a ball-jointed doll just like Kurokami. Great. The blob lurched menacingly towards me. It then lifted me up, placed me between its folds and smothered me against it. The feeling of its curly hairs against me, its revolting odor and heat, and its sewer-like breath filled my throat with bile. The blob touched my ball joints and lovingly twisted them. Of course it felt painful. From time to time I felt them bend in ways they shouldn't with a crack. Screams. Though barely conscious, I could feel my joints bend and break into various directions, one after another. Finally they all broke, leaving me nothing more than a head. The blob embraced my head and licked it with a gooey substance oozing out with its rotten breath. The stench was beyond repulsive. I felt like I was going to suffocate from all the nausea. Soon enough, the blob engulfed my head. Gah! Snap. Oh, something did happen there. Oh, I slowly sat up in the dimly lit bathroom. It was dark around me. Apparently it was night time. How long had I been lying there? I felt like I'd just been in the throes of a horrible dream. You could say that again. I exhausted heavily as if to drive out something disgusting that had built up in my lungs. I could tell I've had an awful nightmare, but couldn't remember anything specific about me. And it was way too lucid to be not just a dream. That's just how it is. Nightmares are vivid when you have them, but vanish with barely a trace once you wake up. Why was I sleeping here? Maybe I'd been as anemic and passed out. I'd no clue. The clearer my head got, the more I realized worrying about it wouldn't accomplish anything. I shook my head and opened the door to the tub to start a bath. Traces of warmth lingered still, but there was no way anyone was there. Ugh. Oh. My elbows and knees have been hurting ever since I woke up. I clenched my elbows in the mirror to find them a little red and swollen. What on earth happened? In real life, when he was in that hallucination. That night I had the strangest dream. It was of Kurokami, sitting all alone in a world of falling black snow. But why falling black snow? The black snow landed on the shoulders of her white robes, staining her in a monochrome gradients. I don't know how to pronounce that word, sorry. She looked lonely, so I tried approaching her, but no matter how much I walked, she didn't get any closer, as if she was impossible to reach. A firm and cool, transparent wall was separating us. At the very least, I wanted to tell her she wasn't alone. I kept pounding on the wall and shouting at the top of my lungs, but she didn't hear me at all. And she's crying. Upon closer inspection, I realized tears were streaming down Kurokami's face. The black snow sullied her tear-stained cheeks, making it look as though she was crying lines of black. She was facing my direction, but it didn't seem she could see me. Perhaps the wall was only transparent on my side. If that were true, then she was all by herself within the wall, the black snow burying her whole. My heart ached at the sight of her tears. Was it pity? Sympathy? No. It was a sense of duty, no questions about it. A baseless sense of responsibility telling me I have to save her. If I didn't, she'd be left alone in that world, doomed to be buried and fade away under the black snow. All the while shedding tears stained black by the soot. Look, I'm just going to tell you right this now. I'd rather have this dream than the dream we had before, if you could even call it that. A nightmare. But this is certainly morbid, but in its own way, sorry. Even after I woke up, I just stared blankly at the scene for a while. This was the first time I'd even remembered a dream so clearly. Why? Why can't I get Kurokami out of my mind? Or maybe she's trying to influence your mind. I couldn't understand my own feelings. I wondered if maybe I was in love with her, but that definitely wasn't the case. Maybe you just want to save her. Save her from herself. I was an adolescence boy, just like the rest. I knew the bittersweet taste of unrequited love. True, the fact that I couldn't get her out of my mind was similar to that. But this was different. I just knew I had to help her. And there was no time left, not even a second. As she said, it was too late. Even so, I had to help her. Why? I didn't know. But that emotion was filling my heart and telling me I had to act as soon as possible. As soon as possible. I wonder if we're going to meet those delinquents again. That peculiar feeling stuck with me even after Kiko invited me to go to school with her. I still couldn't get Kurokami out of my head even after we got there. Look, if you become obsessed with something like that, you're going to lose sight of what is truly important. Kitagami. Here. Konuskasa. Here. Kurokami. Oh, that's why Kurokami called in absent today. Oh, what? Really? Well, that's strange. It wasn't rare for Kurokami to be late for, or even miss homeroom. But even so, she still went to school every day. At the very least, this was the first time anyone had called in to say she's been absent beforehand. That's odd. Kurokami's never absent. Who cares? Not like she studies anyways. Does it not concern you, though? Don't say that, Asuta. Suzumi's totally hung up on her. Thanks. Is something wrong with that? Did you find some hidden appeal in such a scary girl? Way to go, Shizuharu. You really are a great man. Do whatever you want. Just don't come crying to me later. Oof, jealousy is not a good look on you, Harima. Oh. Stay out of this, Atsuta. Is getting involved with Kurokami really so wrong? I don't care, you do you. I'm sure something really, really bad's gonna happen soon, though. Just go and get cursed for all I care. Wow. It's okay, I make sure to do my spiritual cleansing every day. Hey, Suzumu, what happened to your elbow? I was getting a little sweaty, so I rolled up my sleeves. Kiko must have noticed my swollen elbow. I don't know. Maybe I slept on it funny. Does it hurt? It does when you touch it, so could you stop? It looks like your other elbow is the same way. My joints have been hurting ever since last night for some reason. It's a curse, yep. A simple explanation. It's a curse. Get involved with her and stuff will happen. You're blowing things out of proportion. You caught Kurokami's curse. Didn't say I didn't tell you, so if it gets worse, you hear? Don't worry, I'll go see a doctor if it still hurts after school. You'd be better off finding an exorcist if you ask me. Ika was dead set in her belief Kurokami was a cursed being. I guess it was just because girls have a thing for the occult, probably. And if all girls believed that, none of them would help Kurokami. So it really was all up to me. That strange sense of urgency was still plaguing me even after school. I was again wondering if I was in love with her. And yet again I came to the conclusion it was a sense of duty instead. This really does feel like this tale is inspired by another in a way. Because you're the only one that's dead set on helping a being that is clearly cursed. But why? Why do I feel this way for a girl I'd never met before? I don't know. Destiny? Is it like a love upon first sight? Was it obligation? Responsibility? Sympathy? Pity? An amalgamation of all of them? And other feelings? No matter how many times I retraced the source of my emotion, it always came back to that basis sense of duty. Even after lunch break had come and gone, I was still captive to that emotion. Oh, dearie me. The hell? Toé's taking the day off? That worthless blank. Hey, Sho, you okay, man? Ah, you cursed in a different way? Sho kept hacking and coughing as though he was choking on his own spit. His buddies kept rubbing his back with weary grins until he finally calmed down. Sho wiped his forehead to find beads of sweat. He must have really had it rough. I've been feeling like blank since I woke up, like I got allergies or something. Maybe Kurokami is conflicted between these two individuals. Maybe it's pollen? They say there's lots of it going around this season. Hell if I know, go ask the pollen. Oh dearie me, Sho spat in disgust and coughed up plethysma again. What the hell is this? Holy sheesh, man, what is that stuff? It's all black. When Sho had coughed up was neither yellow or white. It was black as tar. It was the first time he ever coughed up something like that. Shocked, he spat again to see if more of that colour came up. But what came out this time was the same colourless spit as always. God damn it! The blank is a stuff, it's gross! He stomped furiously on it. And why the hell have I been feeling like blank all day anyway? Is it just a cough or do you have a fever? Or something worse, you've been cursed. Sure you okay? Blank, I'm feeling all kinds of exhausted now. Yeah, this might be worse than I thought. That creepy chick must have cursed you when she licked your foot. But Didaquinus laughed crudely. But Sho heard none of it. He was feeling terrible at the moment. Want to tell the teacher and go home? Hell, I just want to lie down. It's kind of calmer for that sort of thing. It seems you have a slight fever. BS! My normal temperature is just... Love. Why don't you lie down and let me take a look at you? You're in 2C, right? I'll let your teacher know. Man, this cough is hell. Inagata shut the curtain once she saw Sho get into bed. Once his coughing subsided slightly, she took his hand off his mouth and found his palm stained black. God damn it, what the hell? Though the infirmary bed wasn't all that comfortable, Sho drifted off to sleep, as though his consciousness had been swallowed whole. This is a... Wait a minute, it's been happening since this morning. I have a theory, but I want to test it once we get to the end of this game. And it's something possibly to do with the family, but more importantly, this individual itself of Toé Kurokami. Some kind of curse was spattered out when the marriage was put into place, or when the love upon first sight came into fruition. My knees and elbows were still swollen and throbbing even after school, so I decided to play it safe and go to the hospital. That's a very smart idea. Iwaihime Hospital for Medicine and Surgery, located just past the Iwaihime shopping district, was grander than I pictured. Iwaihime was the name of the neighborhood I lived in. Iwai meant celebration, and seeing it around on signs always brightened my day. So, Iwai... I wonder what Hime stands for then. If you put Iwai and Hime together, it means Celebration Princess. So, is Kurokami the princess then of this particular tale? So, although hospitals aren't always the happiest of places, Iwaihime Hospital seemed friendly to me. The hospital was full of the elderly, just like the one where I used to live. I feel a bit guilty for going there for something as trivial as swollen joints, so you better see what they're up before something truly bad happens, Those more visibly in pain discovered to be here way more than me. Right, just like that Oh. Well then, what the hell happened? Was it the kick to the head that did this? Bruised. Well, regardless though, this is a bit of a coincidence. That black-haired girl, it was Kurokami, no mistaking it. Crikey. She was in a wheelchair, with the same doll riding on her lap. But seeing her with her left arm hanging from a sling, her right leg in a cast, it's hard to watch. It wasn't just those either. Her other limbs were wrapped up in bandages too. What the hell happened to you? For some reason I could sense her knees and elbows hurt just like mine. What the hell, really? Knees and elbows. This could not be a coincidence. I faintly remembered the world of a nightmare I had when I collapsed in the bathroom. Just like me, her joints were snapped by that grotesque blob. Maybe you were even both in the same paranormal nightmare. Kurokami? You shouldn't get involved with Kurokami. I felt like I heard Kiko's voice amidst the crowd. Bad things will happen if you get close to her, I just know it. She'd be giving me that warning over and over again. Was what happened to me one of those bad things? Kurokami and I were classmates, so it was inevitable we'd meet in the classroom. But if I struck up a conversation with her here, I'd clearly be approaching her proactively. Bad things will happen if you get close to her, I just know it. Of course Kiko wasn't there, but it felt like she was giving me my final warning. If I just kept standing around, she'd probably disappear into the crowd. I still had a chance to stay on this side. Wait, this side? I asked myself exactly what those words that had popped into my head meant. So, when Kurokami meant it was too late, I think she meant it was too late for you to be out of this bind in which you created for yourself. Just as Kiko had a sixth sense, so did I. It warned me that if I talked to Kurokami now, there'd be no turning back. Too late for that. She already caught my heart. I couldn't turn back anymore. Our destinies were intertwined from the first moment I looked into her eyes. A part of me wanted to save her, while another part of me wants to know why I started feeling that way. And the latter was the biggest reason why I couldn't get her out of my mind. Kurokami. Just who was she? I wanted to know, and then ask her a question. Who are you? And why do I feel this way about you? I already knew it wasn't something as simple as love. Then it was something... then was it something sinister, just as the rumors said? Have your eyes cursed me? Is that why I can't take mine off you? Kurokami? In the end, I acted before I could even come to an answer. Hello? You alright there? And she looks a little surprised to see us there. Maybe even disappointed. She looked somewhat surprised to see me. I never seen such a natural reaction from her at school before. That looks bad. Are you okay? She was expressionless as always, but not in the same way as at school. She was obviously surprised to bump into me here of all places. Move. Who are you? Did you go to Shusa High? The middle-aged man pushing a wheelchair scowled at me. He was probably her father. Yes, I'm in the same class as... I don't want you talking to Toé unless you have to. Huh? I'm sorry, but she's too important to be corrupted by the filth of the world. I think you might also be a part of her problem. I'll let her go to school because I want her to live like others her age, but I cannot allow her to be corrupted. I couldn't think of anything to say to that. It was the first time anyone had said something like that to me. I didn't know whether to be angry or hurt. You're always late? Go away. Your corruption hurts. Are you even acting on your own terms? Toé, don't push yourself. Yes, father. My apologies, young man. I shouldn't have been so harsh with you. But no, I'm the one who's sorry. You have nothing to apologize for. If you're concerned about Toé, then please, just watch over her from a distance. But something's tormenting her. I wanted to say that, but her father stopped me before I could. I don't want you talking to Toé again. Even if you hold no ill intent, all that will bring her is suffering. Normally, someone my age would have no choice but to back down without a word after being told off like that by an adult. However, there was something in me that just couldn't accept that, so I stood my ground. But she's suffering. I can't just ignore her now that I've realized that. Father felt silent. That was a sign he was aware of her torment. If she needs to be kept away from the filth of the world, then why did you choose Kurinama as her fiancé? That's none of your concern. I just can't believe she could ever want to be with him. You're too late. Those words replayed in my mind once more. Perhaps she meant she'd been forced to bear this fate because no one had noticed her suffering sooner? I wasn't sure about that, but there was no doubt that she was suffering greatly. There was no way she could be happy, being treated like a pet by a fiancé she didn't even love. If the rumors Natsu told me were true, yesterday was hardly the first time Kurinuma had been so rough with her. Just by looking at her and her father, it was easy to imagine she was from a strict family where she was in no position to oppose him. It's up to me to decide who Toé's marry, it's none of your concern. No. It's none of yours either. What? Her life is hers to decide. I understand she's a minor. She should indeed be living under your care. But once she comes of age, her future is her own. You may be her father, but you don't have the right to completely keep her completely tied down. Ah, it seems Toei's father hadn't expected a child his daughter's age to talk back to him like that. He appeared more stunned than angry. Kurokami, maybe everything I'm saying is completely off the mark, but I know you're suffering, and you think it's too late to do anything about it. And there's one thing I can say for sure. What? It's never too late. I don't know if I can be of any help to you, but I'll always be on your side. Count on that, if nothing else, even if it's from afar. Mr. Kurokami, I apologize for speaking out of turn. Pardon me, then. I hope you get well soon, Kurokami. Just go already. Kurokami hung her head, biting her bottom lip. I didn't know what she was feeling, but my words had definitely gotten to her. Just let time be the cure. And I believe that would save her, or at least serve as the spark of her salvation. I don't want to say another word to you. Move out of the way. Right. Sorry. Let's go, Toei. Yes. Toei's father gently pushed the wheelchair past me, only for his daughter to look back at me in that very moment. Really? Well, there maybe is some salvation. Her eyes were damp with tears. But why? Shushihara. She reached her trembling right hand out to me. Toei? Shushihara. The look in her moist eyes implored me to at least take her hand. And so I did. I wanted to grant her wish, and I didn't need words to do so. You shouldn't get involved with Kurokami, Suzumu. Why shouldn't I, Kiko? She needs help, so why shouldn't I? The moment our hands touched, time itself seemed to grind to a halt. The world was frozen in place, almost like the TV known as life had suddenly broken. But the girl before me was real, and so was the warmth of her hand. In fact, this world seemed more like reality. After all, her eyes actually had life to them here. Enough to make me question if the days up until now had all been a daydream. That's just how vivid they were. Kurokami shed warm tears and spoke. Her words were clear and had a deliberate weight to them. Thank you, Shushihara. No, I should be thanking you. I'm glad you opened your heart to me. I couldn't, because I couldn't afford to open it. Oh. Kurokami stood up, staggering on her cast, encased foot. She walked over to me until our chests were practically touching and looked up at me. This is your fault. What? You saying that because your injuries were... What? Because you told me I could cry. I don't think we did say that. Yes. Oh, right. So you heard that, huh? I didn't say it aloud, but it had reached her. I'm going to cry now. Okay. You don't have to understand. Just stand there and let me cry. Alright? Okay. With that word, she gently plunged into my arms. And as she softly clawed at my chest, she burst into tears. Goodness sakes, this really is quite hard to handle. I said nothing and let her sob. You're late. You're too late. Just how late am I anyway? 10 years too late. I thought it was 1,000 years too late. I see. No. 100 years too late. 1,000 years too late. I really am sorry for being so late. It's your fault. It's all your fault. I didn't understand a word she was saying, but I figured allowing her to let it all out would help. She screamed and poured her heart out until she finally calmed down, until it was actually darker. But then, Oh, it wasn't darker. It was something else entirely. I finally noticed the abnormality of the situation. The hospital lobby for the people was too quiet, almost like the place was closed. More like cursed. Though there were still many people there, they gave off no signs of life. Apart from Kurokami, I couldn't even hear any of them breathing. Furthermore, the lobby that had been so bright and clean was all but enveloped in darkness, like it was after visiting hours, where the emergency and night lights served as the only illumination. And since when was it nighttime? Everything outside was dark, like the windows and glass doors had been painted over with ink. It wasn't ordinary darkness either. No matter how late it was, there shouldn't have been many street lights shining brightly, yet there wasn't a single trace of their light. When had we been brought to this place? What is this? So we've been brought in again. Ah, just like the dream we had last night. What do you mean? Kurokami's face was still stricken with tears, but she'd already regained her composure. Strangely enough, she didn't seem the least bit perturbed by this this ominous scene. Don't worry about it. What do you mean, don't worry about it? This is new to me. Are you serious? Yes, just ignore it, and it'll eventually end. Kurokami spoke apathetically, as though she expected the power to be restored at any moment. Oh, that doll again. She found an empty space on the nearly full sofa and sat down. But why is this the case? Why are we here? Have a seat. If you keep standing around, you'll make me tired too. How though? Is it because looking at us standing up is... Okay, but... There's lots of dolls, and some of them are looking at us. Though there were many sofas lying around the lobby, they were all packed. I was unable to find a seat and was at a loss for what to do when Kurokami noticed my plight. Okay, I should have noticed. Sorry for being so inconsiderate. Kurokami casually pushed away the person sitting next to her. Thanks. And when they hit the ground, they just crumbled apart, literally. As it turned out, it wasn't a person lying in pieces at my feet. It was a ball-jointed doll. I looked around upon this realization and noticed that every last person in this packed room apart from us had turned into ball-jointed dolls. Even Kurokami's father had turned into one of those dolls, still holding his daughter's wheelchair in the exact same pose as before. She should have been shocked that her father turned into a doll, but alas, this is totally normal. Yet she paid it no heed at all. I quietly took the seat next to Kurokami as if waiting my turn in line, sorry. In all honesty, I wanted to scream from the incomprehensible terror swallowing me whole. Incomprehensible, sorry, but oddly enough, seeing her remaining absolutely calm amidst this madness allowed me to keep my own calm for some reason. Of course, she could have just been bluffing. How did you get so banged up? This is the first time it's been this bad, so this has happened before, but on a less severe scale. What do you mean? Exactly what I said. You don't have to understand, just smile and nod. I'm not going to exactly be Madagascar and just smile and wave, okay? That's about all you're good for. Excuse me? You should put more stock in me. Maybe I don't look it, but I am still a man. You look so feeble, though. Why don't you take a good look at yourself, though? You don't have martial arts skills. Maybe on the outside, but I train. My family runs a dojo, you see. So I've been practicing since I was a kid. I don't know how I fare in a fight, but in arm wrestling, I doubt even an adult could beat me. I'm surprised. I didn't take you for a braggart. I'm not. I just know my own strength is all. I think being too modest can come off even worse. Heh. What kind of training do you do? Stuff like punching trees wrapped in straw. Our dojo only practices straight punches. I'm not all that familiar with karate. The Shushihara Divine Tribute style has some similarities to karate, but they're completely different styles. I don't care. It doesn't matter how much you've trained anyway. You can't break anything. What do you want broken? It sounds to me like you want something broken, I get that much. Would you tell me? You say I'm too late, but maybe I've made it on time after all. What are you laughing about there? You're 10 years... Yeah, you can keep saying on that. Her laughter was not only of delight but resignation. It's pointless. I won't know unless I try. You said you punched trees wrapped in straw. Are you claiming you could knock one over with your fists? That's the idea during training at least. I can't rely on someone weaker than a tree. Are you saying it's something that can't be solved with fists? You can talk to me now, right? I don't think you've got anything to lose from simply talking about it. Maybe fists can do something about it. So you do want me to punch someone? Heh. That'd be easier than knocking down a tree at least. Can someone who can't even knock over a tree break something made of bronze? Bronze? How thick are we talking? Who knows? Perhaps as thick as your fist? Yeah, I definitely can't pull that off. That sounds like a job for a cannon. Kurokami laughed with resignation as to say, told you. However, if breaking that will save you, then I'll train some more and break that thing with my fist someday, I swear it. And how long do you think that will take? Maybe tens, hundreds, or even thousands of years. Good question. In that sense, it may be too late, just as you said. 10, 100, no, even 1,000 years might not be enough. But even so, I'm going to break that thing and save you, I promise. Bronze. Something about a curse in and of itself made of bronze. Even I was surprised by that. I never said anything so gallant before. It must have been that baseless sense of duty I'm talking. The more I talked with her, the stronger it got. But I didn't care about where it came from anymore. It didn't matter whether it was love, duty, or even a curse like Kiko suggested. I swear I'll save you. Maybe you think I'm too late, but I vowed to break that thing someday. Even though it's too late, it's never too late. It's never too late until the fat doll scene. It's never too late. I'm here, and so are you. I'll save you, whether I'm late or early, or on time. Shushihara? At that moment, the silence was suddenly shattered by a ghastly roar. A visceral roar that shook the very pit of my stomach. The ground trembled as I heard something slimy and gooey approaching us. What was that? I'm going to take a look. You're not going to like it either way. She was probably right. But whatever that thing was, I need to know if it posed us any threat. No, that wasn't it. What I really wanted to know was what in the world this place was, and whether I was still sane or not. The thing howled ominously again, and then I remembered exactly what it was. Oh, that gooey figure from before. The piles of meat trembling as they gave off a rancid stench straight out of a sewer. Yes, it was the giant, eerie blob that broke me and Kurokami's limbs. It was bulging far more repulsively than it had back in my bath. The blob squirmed where it stood, filling the stairwell. It was as tall as the scene itself. Despite that, it pulsated as it slowly but surely pushed its way down the stairs. That nightmare had come back to life with a vengeance. It was searching. That blob was searching for us. Though it was struggling to fit through the stairwell, it wouldn't be long until it got through, and once it did, there would be nothing to stop it. The lobby ceiling was too high to impede it. I had to run, and running we shall do, but in the next time of Iwaihime. So this game is the Celebration Princess, then what on earth is it that we are celebrating about? And what is this thing made of bronze as thick as our fists that we need to break in order to break this curse? And how much does this family know about this said curse? And why does it keep on holding on to this curse? Then again, it could be the thing that they may not know how to break it, but sort of contain it. But it doesn't seem to be the case since, well, this curse is lunging about. Thank you so much for watching, and see you all in the next time of Iwaihime. Thank you so much for watching, and take care of yourselves, everybody.